Empty. The Tale of Travis Cain by E.M. Peck. Narrated by Franz. So you're telling me you've never heard the story of Travis Cain? Bill's bloodshot eyes stared at Sam as if he had three heads. I mean, yeah, I remember it on the news a few years back. Fucking awful stuff, sure, but the kid just lost it. What else is there to say? Sam quipped, looking around the table. Everybody but him was blitzed out of their fucking mind. He doubted they would even remember any of this come tomorrow. What else is there to say? Are you fucking kid? Jim, hey Jim, get your ass over here. Sam saw the gentleman with the large gray beard and balding head glance over at their table. Sam had noticed him earlier, seated by himself at the bar. By Sam's count, the man was on his fifth pint. Jim stood up, stretched, and stumbled over to the group, beer in hand. Bill grabbed a nearby stool, and Jim plopped down. Damn it, Bill, can't you ever just let me drink in peace? What the hell's this all about? This young man here says he's never heard the story of Travis Cain. He says he learned everything he needs to know from the news, and that's that. Is that so? Jim's bushy eyebrows rose, and Sam saw a slight twitch of a smile reach his lips. He turned to face Sam, and as he did, some of the beer sloshed out and landed on the table. So, boy, you think you understand what happened to Travis Cain, huh? Jim leaned in close. The smell of booze assaulted Sam's nostrils, and he could make out every wrinkle on the man's face. I didn't say I understood everything, just that there's not much to it. Sometimes people snap, who knows why. Jim tilted back a bit, took another sip of lager, and let out a low chuckle. You really think this kid can handle it, Bill? Seems like a bit of a pussy to me. Sam's face flushed, and he considered walking out right then and there, but something held him back. Oh, come on now, Jim. Take it easy on the boy. He's new around here, and that's all. He can handle it, Bill said, sending Sam a wink. Is that right? You sure you're ready for this, boy? Jim growled, his glazed eyes struggling to focus on Sam. I'll be fine, Sam spat out. Why don't you just get on with it before you end up passed out in your own piss? Jim eyed him up and down, then burst out laughing. Shoo, maybe this kid's got some balls after all, eh, Bill? Well, all right, son, don't say I didn't warn you. Jim chugged the rest of the pint in his hand and slammed the glass down on the table. He leaned in again, his nose stopping inches from Sam's own. Now listen up, boy, because this here's the real story of Travis Cain, mass murderer of Tillmont High. People say they know what happened, but they don't know a goddamn thing. You see, I knew Travis, and yeah, he might have shot those kids, but it's not so simple as all that. Travis didn't go crazy, and he wasn't no homicidal maniac or any of that fucking bullshit. He was a killer, sure, but the truth is, he was also a victim of the empty. Travis Cain had been many things in his short life of 17 years. Hurt, angry, sad, lonely, pathetic, worthless. But now he was just empty. A swirling, sucking pit of nothingness that seemed to have no end. A blank void surrounded him, snaking into his nostrils and penetrating his lungs. From there, the dullness circulated, spreading first to his liver and kidneys, then to his brain. It seeped into every bone and tendon and muscle and capillary until, at last, it reached his heart. Travis had already tried to kill himself twice. The first was a half-hearted attempt, even he had to admit. One Sunday morning, he'd driven out to the Tillmont Bridge on the edge of town. He'd leapt out of a truck and swung his legs over the barrier. For quite some time he'd hung there, watching the dark, raging current of the river and wishing with everything he had that he could steal that black fury and inject it straight into his veins. Then, one by one, he had began to pry his fingers loose from the railing. Travis, what are you doing, son? Get down from there. It was Sheriff Clay. Someone had seen Travis leave the morning church service and gotten concerned. Jesus Christ, he thought. Couldn't people just mind their own damn business? But they never did, not in Tillmont, Pennsylvania, a small town where everybody knew everybody and nobody could keep to their fucking selves. The second time, Travis had been smarter. He'd swallowed a bottle of Tylenol from the medicine cabinet. His parents had found him lying on his bed, the empty bottle tossed onto the floor beside him. They rushed him to the hospital where the doctors pumped his stomach. They had to restart his heart twice, and they said he was lucky he was found so quickly or his liver would have gone to shit. Fucking hell, couldn't they just let him die? Well, one night after dinner, Travis's parents made him stay at the table once he'd finished eating. He knew what that meant. They wanted to ask him how he was feeling and if he was still thinking bad thoughts and whether he knew how much they loved him and cared for him and wanted him to be happy. Travis sat there, numb as ever. If they really loved him as much as they said, why had they never listened? When he had asked to move to a new school, when he told them how everyone at Tillmont High treated him like shit, they never fucking listened. It had all started with that damn photo. A little over a year ago, some asshole had taken a picture of Travis with his mouth hanging open and photoshopped, a dick onto it. This picture had made its way around the school and texts on social media. Cocksucker Cain, they called him. Then kids started knocking books out of his hand, shoving him against lockers. They tripped him in the hallways. They pantsed him in the locker room. They spread lies and rumors. The whispers, the names, the laughter. That goddamn fucking laughter. It rattled around in his head for hours, days, weeks, months. Fuck! As Travis sat there, pretending to listen to his parents drone on about how concerned they were, and how they wanted to help, and whatever other bullshit they needed to say to make themselves feel better, a thought pierced through the numbing haze. If he couldn't find a way to feel anything, maybe he could make everyone else as cold and dead as he felt inside. The thought became a seed, one he watered and tended until it sprouted. It grew and stretched its spindly vines, wormed its way past his front lobe, and rooted itself deep, choking out the other thoughts. Sure, the thought was all well and good, but what could Travis do about it? He didn't have a fucking clue where to start. Then one morning before school, he was lying on his bed considering the question when his phone began to ring. That was odd because no one ever called Travis Cain. He looked at the number. Blocked. Curious, he pressed the green circle. Hello? Hello, Travis. The voice on the other end rasped out his name, a grating scratching sound, punctuated by a hoarse cough. What? Who is this? You know who we are, boy, the voice wheezed. We are the empty, the hole in the center, the gaping rift, the source of all you're missing. What do you want from me? We want to be free. Free to devour and consume and be filled. Come on, boy, let us out. Let us feed. But how? Look and see, Travis. The answer is right here before you. The line clicked dead. Travis lowered the phone from his ear and found himself standing in his father's den. On the gun rack rested the TAC-14 12-gauge, its shortened barrel gleaming in the early morning sun. At that moment, Travis knew just what he needed to do. Taking the gun in both hands, he pressed the release, sliding the fore-end back and forth. Clack, 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 clack. Smooth action every time. He grabbed a handful of red plastic cartridges and loaded the magazine. 1, 2, 3, 4, then slammed a fifth into the chamber. He crept down the front hallway and up the stairs. He put an ear to his parents' bedroom door and listened. Soft snores, still asleep. He turned the knob and stepped through. There they were, snuggled in bed, the covers drawn up to their chins. As Travis snuck into the room, he noticed a man in the corner, a tall frame with gray, patchy hair and skin like rumpled paper. He drew on a cigarette, holding the smoke in his lungs for a long while before exhaling. "Who are you? What do you want?" Travis hissed. "Boy, why do you keep asking that? You know damn well who we are and why we're here, the man said, his voice like rough sandpaper brushed across a wood tabletop. Travis glanced at his sleeping parents, then back to the old man. Does it have to be this way? Do we have to start with them? The man gave Travis a long look, chucked his cigarette on the carpet, and stomped it out. If not them, then who? The old man shuffled over and placed a hand on Travis's shoulder. The gentle touch steadied his hand. He turned back to the bed and raised the gun. He drew in a short breath and pumped his parents full of lead. When he was done, Travis examined his work. They didn't look much like parents anymore, but he supposed they hadn't felt much like parents for a long time, so fair was fair. He didn't bother moving them, just left the bodies lie. Blood and guts splashed across the bed sheets. Hurrying from the room, he bounded down the stairs and out the front door. He threw the TAC-14 in the passenger side of his old Chevy pickup, and as he did, he took one last look at his parents' bedroom window. There was the old man, silhouetted against the pane. Travis gave him a slight nod, then jumped in and drove away. Travis pulled into the school parking lot and turned off the engine. He sat and he waited for the perfect moment to arrive. No sound, no stirring. All was quiet. The bell rang, the start of first period. Kids and teachers would be in classrooms, the halls clear. This was it. He clenched the steering wheel and shook, spasms of energy coursing through his limbs. He released the wheel and pounded the dash. All right, let's go, motherfucker, let's go. Fuck, he grabbed the gun, exited the truck, and stormed toward the entrance. As he got close, he saw the old man leaning against the red brick. It's you, Travis exclaimed. The man flicked a cigarette butt onto the concrete and crushed it under his heel. Of course, you didn't think we'd let you go it alone, did you, boy? I wasn't sure, but I'm glad you're here. You bet. You up for this? Travis nodded. All right, let's get to it. Travis wrapped one hand around the gun's pistol grip and placed the other on the pump. He kicked in the glass door with his combat boots, shattering the silence. The office door opened, and the secretary walked out. Travis pushed through the glass. The woman saw him and screamed, tried to retreat, tried to flee, but Travis caught the office door and flung it wide open. He sprang in and blasted buckshot through her spine. She slumped to her knees, toppled over, a bloody mess. More screams, more movement. He fired again. Papers flew, computers sparked, and the screams cut off with a gurgle. A man burst from the back room and lunged at Travis. Who it was, he couldn't say. The man had no face, only static where the head should be, like snow swirling across an old TV screen. Travis pointed and pulled. A hole opened in the man's chest, as dark and empty as Travis's own. He dropped, and Travis sent another round into the static, then kicked the lifeless mass for good measure. When he'd finished clearing the office, Travis moved back into the hall. Shouts and shrieks greeted him, fucking chaos everywhere. Travis smiled as he watched his classmates clamor for the exit. All right, now let's have a little fun, he thought. He pivoted to the left and shot two from the hip. A body skidded across the floor and clanged against the lockers. He spun back to the right and bang, bang, bang! Travis Cain sent 3 more kids to the grave. He reached into his coat pocket and took out 5 more shells. He whistled softly as he loaded them. 4 in the magazine, click, 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 click. 1 in the chamber, and it was time for death. A door to his left read Room 110, etched in black on the mottled glass. Travis reached for the handle, then hesitated. He felt something, a stirring. Was it sadness? Regret? No, those didn't seem right. It was more solid than that. It gained momentum, rising like a great slumbering beast. Roaring, raging, it seized all control. He bashed in the door with a powerful kick. Classmates cowered behind desks piled high. The teacher stood in front of them, her arms outstretched. What classroom was this? Which teacher? What kids? Travis didn't know and didn't give a shit. He raised the gun. Bam! Blood spurted from the stump where a hand had been. The woman collapsed, her cries echoing off the walls. Bam! Shuck! Bam! one to the chest and another to the head. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught a flash of auburn brown hair. He whirled and bam! Those pretty little locks splattered all over the chalkboard. Travis stepped behind the desk. Students huddled, shaking and pissing all over themselves. He moved the barrel down the line. Which lucky one would get the final shot? Not you, not you, not you, but... Travis, put the gun down, son, a voice yelled from out in the hall. Sheriff Clay, nosiest fucking prick in all of Tillmont, PA. Can't do that, Sheriff. I still got one in the chamber. God damn it, boy, drop the gun before my men light your ass up. Travis walked over to the windows, the gun swaying at his side. He stood for a moment, taking in the sunny spring day. A bird flitted from tree to tree, oblivious to all that had happened. Travis turned and raised the gun one final time. Wham! Something struck his left shoulder, twisting his body halfway round. Blood gushed from the wound. He marveled at its crimson beauty, how it glistened as it flowed. He smiled as more rounds ripped through his flesh. He understood what it was now, that feeling rising up. It wasn't sorrow, not remorse, not even fear of death. No, it was life. Full, overflowing, jam-packed fucking life. Exploding right here in all its blazing colors. Travis didn't scream when the bullets pierced his chest. He didn't cower as they slammed into his gut or sawed through his legs. Nope, he didn't cry, not for a second. Travis Cain fucking laughed at the bullets and the blood and the sheriff and the teachers and all the fuckers who had laughed at him first. As he sank to the floor, his body riddled with holes, Travis tucked the barrel tight under his chin. He knelt there, finger poised on the trigger, when he fancied he heard a familiar hoarse whisper. Look up, it said. He lifted his head to find the old man bending over him. Well done, boy. We knew you had it in you. The old man leaned closer. The weathered cracks in his face reminded Travis of a dried riverbed. Now, boy, let us show you the plans we have for you. He opened his mouth wide, then wider, and wider still, a dark cavern reeking of death and stale cigarettes. The cavern became a vortex, a vacuum, sucking Travis in. He tried to pull back, but it was far too late. Blackness stretched over him like a snake engulfing its prey. It swallowed him whole, wrapping around and squeezing him tight. It cracked his ribs and collapsed his lungs. He couldn't see, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. He could only stare into the coming abyss. Bam! A final shot rang out, and Travis Cain ceased to exist. Sam sat there, mouth hanging open. What in the fuck? Jim gave him one last piercing gaze, then drifted back on his stool. So far, Sam thought, sure he'd fall off. Well, what do you think, son? Jesus, I'm not sure. Sam stumbled. Jim glanced over at Bill, then roared so hard he finally toppled over. Holy hell, Bill. Did you see that? About made this boy piss his damn pants. A huge grin spread over Bill's face as he helped Jim back to his feet. Jim wiped away the tears that had started rolling down his cheeks. Woo! Goddamn! I gotta hand it to you, Bill. That was worth it. Haven't had that much fun in God knows how long. Is your boy gonna be all right, though? I'm fine, Sam yelled, then swore. So that was all just some bullshit to fuck with me? This caused another round of laughter to erupt from the group. Of course it was bullshit, Jim said. Travis Cain wasn't nothing but a damn psycho. Ain't no more to it than that. Jim rose from his stool, burped, and looked down at his phone. Ah, shit, Bill. Susan's been sitting out there for 10 minutes, and now she's bitching at me something crazy. I better get going. His gaze floated back over to Sam. Hey, kid, listen, you're all right. He reached out his calloused hand, and Sam took it, smiling for the first time. Jim teetered and fell forward into Sam, who caught the drunk before he landed on the floor again. You don't mind carrying me out to the old ball and chain, do you? Sam slid an arm under Jim's shoulder, and they made their way to the car. Susan was in the driver's seat, looking like she was about to make Jim sober with a swift smack of the frying pan upside his head. Sam helped Jim in and shut the passenger door, then gave a slight wave as the couple drove off. After they'd left, He got into his own car and headed toward home. The night was dark and quiet, and as Sam drove, his mind wandered to Jim's story. He chuckled a bit when he thought about how his imagination had gotten so caught up in the tale. He was still smiling as he passed over the Tillmont Bridge and rounded the bend in the road. Off to his right stood Tillmont High, barely visible behind the glow of the parking lot lights. He turned his head and, shit! Sam slammed on the brakes, nearly losing control. He pulled off to the side and jumped out. What? It had been right there. An old beat-up Chevy parked under one of the lampposts, and Sam could have sworn on his fucking life he'd seen a man leaning against the bed of that truck, smoking a cigarette. But when he looked now, there was nothing. The lot and everything in every direction was deserted. Empty. Sam crawled back into the driver's seat and placed his trembling hands on the steering wheel. He took a few deep breaths and let out a sigh. Damn it, Jim, you're a real fucking bastard, he thought. And that's when he felt the vibrating buzz of his cell. He drew it out, looked for the number, and his heart stopped. Blocked. Sam pressed the green button and raised the phone to his ear. Hello? He said, his voice little more than a whisper. On the other end, he heard a harsh, hacking cough, followed by a shuddering hiss that choked out two simple words. Hello, Sam.